Good morning everybody and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. This is project 8 of the 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar Kit. And today I'm going to make a side step fold card. And if you look back on my YouTubes, you'll see that I've made it a few times, but it's a really versatile card and one that comes together really fast. So for my base, I've got old olive. My main base is 8 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 3 and 6 and 7. And then I have another piece, 8.5 by 3, scored at 4.25. I have an assortment of designer series paper. So the important pieces are these two, 5.25 by 3/4, and the 5.25 by 2 3/4. The rest are just scraps for making die cuts. And then I've got two pieces of white, 5.25 by 2 3/4 and 4 by 2 3/4. And that's all we need. So I'm going to make the base of the card first, and then we'll go to do the embellishments and the stamping. So you need the larger piece of cardstock, and this will form the step fold, the little piece at the front. So we just fold back, and then you see the two narrower folds. You fold the first one up and the second one down, and it gives you like a W shape, small here but then a W. So really it's a mountain, then a valley, then a mountain fold. Okay, I'm just going to get my bone folder, which I can't see, excuse me. There we go. And make this nice and flat. Now I chose old olive because I'm using some of the paper that I haven't used before. I chose to use this paper. And that's quite a busy pattern, but I thought it would just be offset nicely by a piece we have used before. This is going to be my background colour, and then this is the colour. I'm changing all of my die cuts to be these colours. Okay, so let's pop this one together as much as we can anyway. I'm going to put the main piece of designer series paper, let's pop that there now, on here. And it just fits with a small border. And I like this one to be not quite as busy, more of a background piece, because I want the focus to be on the front of the card, not sort of the background. Okay. And then one of these narrow pieces is going to go on the front over here. And I cut just two different pieces. Choose the one that has more of the colouring that you want for your focal point. I'm just going to choose this one. When they're busy patterns, sometimes it can be difficult to match them up. But if you choose a more subtle or a less busy background piece, then these smaller pieces with lots of colours really pop. And I'm going to take this piece, which is the 5.25 by 2 3/4, and the other little piece is just going to go on it like that. This will go inside, and we will be adding something to this, but I'm going to glue it in anyway, and we'll come back to it. So if we get the bones of the card made, sometimes that makes it a bit easier. Now, for this, you can put a piece on the back, or you can put it inside. I alternate. Sometimes I like it on the back, sometimes I like to have this piece on the inside for writing, and today I want to have it on the inside. Okay. So there's our step fold card. This other piece that we have, the 8.5 by 3, scored at 4.25, is going to become the main focal point. We will be gluing it onto here, like this. And you can have it at the left, you can have it at the middle, whatever you want to do. But that's going to be our main focal point. So you can see what I meant by having not too busy a piece here, because we don't want to detract from this piece. Okay, let's work on that front. So for the front, we're going to need a 4 by 2 3/4 piece of white. Let's move those. And that's going to sit just like this. You could make this smaller and put a little layering card behind if you wanted as well. And for this, I want to do some flowers. And I'm going to do this flower and die cut it. But I don't want to use cardstock. I want to use our designer series paper. Excuse me. And so what I've chosen, here it is. What I've chosen is a piece of just the pink that we had left over. But if you can see, if the camera will pick it up, it's kind of marbly. It's almost like a watercolour wash over it. There's some darker bits, some lighter bits, and that's what I want. I want to make my flower with that. So I'm using Versamark. You could use the Flirty Flamingo ink, which is the same colour as the paper, but I like Watermark. It means you don't have to have every ink, because if you stamp with Watermark, it will always show the colour of either the cardstock or the designer series paper that you're stamping on. It won't put lots of flowers on. If you chose to do it on this, you wouldn't really see it very well. But on a plainer piece, you can. And you might notice as well that I've put a black dot on my flower, and that's so that I can line it up easily with this die. I think this die is a bit tricky, so when I found how it went, I popped a black dot, and I know then that if I stamp and I stamp that dot at the top, then this is the way my die will fit over it. Okay, so we're just going to ink up this so it's nice and juicy with the Versamark, and stamp it down. Hold it for an extra second or two, because Versamark is sticky and it takes a while to dry and a while just to sort of soak in. Okay, and as you know, Versamark takes a while. It gets darker and darker as it dries. But because it takes a while to dry, I've actually already done this and cut it out. And I did the exact same thing with the leaf here. And all I did was I found a scrap of the green that we're using for the background, because that's got like a paler colour leaf on. And so I die cut my leaves. Let me find them. Let's pop them on a piece of white. And they have a very subtle variation. You can't see a lot of the pattern, but you can just see that it's paler greens, darker greens. So I've already cut out 3 of those. And I also cut out this one. This one, and again, I cut it on that same paper, the same pink paper. And it will just give you that little variation as well. I didn't stamp anything for it first. There isn't a matching stamp for it. I just simply wanted the die cut. Okay, so, oops. I'm going to do my stamping on here first, and then I know where I can put the rest of my things. I'm going to use the For Someone Extra Special stamp. And I've brought in my Misty Moonlight and my Secret Sea, because the Misty Moonlight is here and that darker colour to me looks like Secret Sea. And you know how much I love stamping in Secret Sea. So I'm going to stamp in that colour. But the Misty Moonlight would be good, the Old Olive, any of the colours that are in there. And this, I'm just going to stamp this left hand side. I've popped a bit much ink on there, but I just need it a bit nearer so I can see it straight. There we go. Beautiful font. Okay, so we're done with that. And now we're going to start and build up the front focal area. Okay, sorry, I just dropped a scissors then. Okay, so I've got my Versamark printed stamp for the image of the flower and die cut, and then the little die cut that went on top. And then I have 3 of these little leaves. I do have something else as well, but I'll show you that after we've popped these on. I'm just going to glue this down flat. It's already quite a bulky card, so I don't want to have a lot of extra dimensionals on it. Let's pop that over here. And then I'm going to put the leaves in before the rest of it dries. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue at the top and the bottom. And let's lift this up a little bit. Let's find the pokey tool just to lift it up with. I want that to go just behind, but I don't want this part to stick down. I want that to sort of lift up a little bit to give a bit of dimension. And then this, I'm going to do exactly the same. A little bit of glue on the front, at the bottom, a little bit of glue on the back. And pop that here, and then same with the third one. You could use the single leaves as well, because there's a single leaf die. So if you preferred that, let's just lift that up. Okay, there we go. Now my other little die cut, I'm just going to put right on the top. And because it's the same paper, it sort of merges in really well. Looks like it should be there. And these, I'm just going to bend the corners up a bit, or the edges. Let's do it with the pokey tool while this is drying. Okay, and for the centre, I'm going to use one of the little gold sequin drops. And yesterday I put lots on my glue dot tape just to make it easier, because I find them quite hard to pick up and then trying to get them on the glue. So I spent a little while and did that. I've got one here as well. The glue dots are a little bit bigger than the embellishments, so just push that extra glue dot inside onto the back. There we go. And then I wanted something else as well, so I decided to use a die I haven't used yet, this little butterfly. And the butterfly cuts out this shape. It doesn't have a matching stamp or anything. I don't think it does anyway, because this one is much bigger. So no, it doesn't have a matching stamp, but the die is really pretty. I cut it out in pink, and that would be lovely look on there. But I decided that I wanted to pick up another colour, so I wanted to pick up the Misty Moonlight. I found another piece of scrap paper, and it happened to have 2 little flowers on. So if I can find another piece like this, it's this one. And so I thought that would make the butterfly and some, I think it was this piece actually, this one and this one would make the butterfly look really pretty. So I've cut 2 of those already, and I've stuck the little gems on them as well. So you can see, let me just hold that up for you a little bit nearer. You see how you've got a little bit of the darker blue, some of the light Misty Moonlight, some of the white, and I think it just gives it that extra colour, that extra little pop. And I'm going to pop them just on here. I didn't know if I would put 2 on or 1. I hadn't decided. Let me just see. Let's try that darker one. Whoops. I think I'm just going to put 1 on, and I'll use the other one on the inside. Okay. And all I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on the back. I'm not going to glue round the wings and glue that down, just down the middle. Oh, let's just take that glue off the end. Stick in there. So I just need a little bit. Okay. And then as that dries, I'm going to just fold those edges up as well. And I know it'll squash down a little bit when you put it in your envelope, but it won't squash down all the way. There we go. And then because I've just got 2 of the gems there, I think I ought to put another one on. Let's see. I've only got the larger ones left on here, but so I need a smaller one. So I thought I'd done an extra job, and now I've decided I've changed my mind. So let's just take a smaller one out. Pop it on this glue dot. Now these glue dots are a lot too big. What I have found, if you get any of the Stampin' Up kits or paper pumpkins, some of their glue dots that come flat are a bit smaller, and they're an ideal size for these. Let's pop that back. And let's see, I might just pop it sort of out of the way. I'm going to put it up there. Oops, let's see. Oh, no, actually, I'm going to put it down in this corner. Just pushing the rest of that glue dot away. There we go. And I'll pop it there. Okay. And now this, we can start and look and start and attach it to the rest of our card. But remember I said that I had something else that I wanted to put on here. I had another one of the flowers, and I thought that would be nice inside. But actually we now have another one of the little butterflies as well. So I think I might just put the butterfly on. I might pop the flower on the envelope instead. Leave those little wings up. There we go. That looks pretty. Right. So let's attach this. We're going to glue it to the front first, and you need to make sure that it goes right down to the bottom of the front of the card, but you only need about 1 inch worth of glue on it, so you don't need to put too much on. And I'm just going to use the liquid glue and go across. I know that this is, more than enough. And I like mine off to the side a little bit. So I usually have about 1 inch or so over here. I'm going to hold that flat on that base there, just until it dries a little bit, because the card is quite springy now. All these folds means it jumps up. If we put that there, and I'm going to fold it over, turn it over, and this will come down to the bottom at the back. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to put my glue on here. You could use tear and tape if you prefer that, rather than the liquid glue. And I'm just going to close it. Hold it so that the edges match. I'm just going to hold it for a second or two, so I know that the glue is going to stay in one place. There we go. And so now you have your little step up card. Right. If you wanted, remember I said you could put your sentiment on here. You can. If you feel that you don't want this to be too bendy, you can glue the whole of that piece down. But honestly, you don't need to. If you don't want to, you don't need to. And if you're going to put a white piece on the back, that would hold that down securely as well. I didn't cut a second piece, but let me just cut a piece so that you can see how that looks on the back. So the piece you would need is 5 1/4 by 2 3/4. And let me just get my card stock out. So 5 1/4 by 2 3/4. I will use this on another card anyway, because I'm going to make quite a few of these. 5 1/4. Let's take that off. So if you decided that you wanted to go on the back, it would go like this. You could cut another little piece of designer series paper even to match on there as well. You could put both on if this is not enough. If you need somewhere to write like a little letter or something, or a bit more news about the family, then that would make an ideal extra piece. Okay, now this we're going to attach to the front, just like this. Go. And that's it. Quick, simple. If you hadn't put your little butterfly here, you could always add one onto the background as well. That would look pretty. So just a quick and easy little step fold card, and not using a lot of cardstock and not using an awful lot of designer series paper, and certainly using up some of our scraps. So I hope you like that, and I look forward to doing project 9 with you next time. Take care everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.